Welcome back to another episode of the Spoonie and Caregiver Live podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas. And before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of the podcast. And let's go ahead and get into today's episode, shall we? Now, I wanted to talk about this because this is something that I was talking to my wife the other day, and we were talking about our fears, like we were talking about like what she's afraid of, what I'm afraid of, and she asked me like, can we make fear our friend? Because she knows that I have gone through therapy and she knows pretty much what I have gone through. And I have been able to open up to her so she knows a lot about me. So she asked me like, can we make fear our friend? And my answer to that question is yes. Yes, you can. And when you make fear your friend, it actually helps you a lot to keep pushing yourself. And let me tell you this here real quick. The way that I make my fears my friend in this case is because like I have mentioned before, my wife has depression. What a lot of people don't know is that due to her depression, she was suicidal. There were so many times where I honestly thought I was gonna walk into the house from work and she will be literally dead because it was that bad. It was extremely bad. So one of the things that I realized is that I had to open up because when I was talking to her about her depression and how I can help, she said to me like nobody understands me, like I feel alone and everything like that. Like obviously with you will feel like that with depression. So what I had to do is that I had to understand that this fear of me losing my wife was real. And I had to also understand that I should keep pushing myself to be better and use that fear to be able to open up for my wife or able to open up to my wife in this situation, because once I understood that the fear of losing her can actually help me open up to her, it made everything more easier for me to open up, because I had to tell myself multiple times like, okay, if she feels alone and you're there with her, then it's not about you being in the same room with her. It's more about like an emotional connection. We didn't have an emotional connection, like that love connection pretty much. And because I have been hurt before, I was like very closed off. I was very closed off because of the way that I was raised and because I had been hurt before. But because I was afraid of losing my wife, I had to use that fear to help me open up more to her. And one of the things that this did for me is that it helped me develop a level of communication that was understandable for her and for me. And also, it was kind of scary because of the language barrier, because my English, when we started dating and everything and we got married at the beginning, my English wasn't as good. So I had to overcome that fear of sounding ridiculous sometimes, or not being able to say the right words or anything like that, so I could talk to her. So I made those fears my friend, and anytime that I was trying to say something to her and I know that I couldn't explain it correctly, I will think to myself, well, I just have to try. I just have to try, because as long as I can somehow figure out a way for her to understand, or for her to help me express myself, she will understand what I'm trying to say. And that brought the connection that we have right now. That actually helped her with her depression, because now we since I was able to open up to her, uh, we have this emotional connection, because now she knows more about me, I know more about her. And obviously she still has depression, which is, in this situation, obviously depending on the person, the depression is gonna be hard to get rid of. There's a lot of treatments that we need to try and things like that. So what I'm trying to say with this is that yes, you can make fear your friend. The problem is that obviously, because it's something that you're afraid of, you're not gonna want to try it. You're not gonna want to try it because you're gonna be afraid of. Like, it could be Like in my situation, I was afraid of losing my wife. That was a big fear for me. So I had to use that fear in order for me to be able to open up. You might be afraid of something completely different. You might be afraid of getting sick. Well, in those type of situations, that's actually something that I keep thinking about, because if I get sick, who's gonna take care of my wife? So one of the things that I do with that particular fear is that it pushes me to get in better shape, eat healthier, which I'm trying to do. So that's just another example. Like that's one of the things that you can use fear to be your friend and keep pushing you, because one of the things that this is going to do is going to push you to get better. Like for me, it was in regards to communication, like the communication with my wife, so we can have this bond or this emotional connection, especially when you have depression, very bad depression. That's what you need a bond. You need an emotional connection with somebody, so you don't feel alone. That's why I was able to understand when I was helping my wife through her depression. Like I said, she still has depression, but it's not as bad, which I'm glad. I'm honestly glad about that. So, like I was saying, it can push you to get better. It can also push you to pursue your dreams, because and I mean, in this situation, I have always felt like I was meant to do something like this. Be in front of camera, talking to people, because I love talking to people, like I have mentioned before, but it was because of the language barrier. Now that I'm able to understand English and speak it better, I'm more talkative. You can see it on my Facebook stories and Instagram stories. I'm more myself, I guess I can say. And like I was saying, like in this type of situations, it can push you to pursue your dreams. Like I have always liked to talk in front of camera. Now I'm doing it, and I'm doing the podcast, and I love it. It's I guess it was like a dormant dream, but I couldn't have done it without making the fear of opening up my friend. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it without grabbing that fear and say, like, I'm gonna make you my friend. You're gonna push me. You're not gonna terrorize me. You're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. You're actually gonna tell me what could happen if I don't follow my dreams, or if I don't talk to my wife a certain way in this situation. And another thing, especially for spoonies and caregivers, when you make your fears your friend, it can actually help you or push you to learn more about yourself. Like in my situation, because I've been able to open up more to my wife. I start to remember, like, the good and the bad of growing up. Like I was raised in Mexico City. It wasn't like the best place, and we were not rich. We were poor. We were like, let's just say between the lowest of the middle class, like upper poor class almost. That's how I see it, because like I said, we had like I have mentioned in other episodes, we had to literally eat everything we had. We didn't throw food away or anything away. Like we just had to eat it, because that's the way that it was. Like we didn't have the money to buy everything. So I started to learn more about myself, and I started to learn more about my wife. But in this situation, that's pretty much what helped us a lot. And what I want you to understand is this: like, that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't faced that fear of losing her, and understand that what she needed was connection. And now that we have that connection, it has helped us. And when you have that type of connection, like the type of the connection I have with my wife, when you're a spoonie or a caregiver or both, it's gonna help you so much, because you're gonna be able to connect with yourself, with your true self. And like in the example that I have given, you're gonna be able to connect with your caregiver. You're gonna be able to connect with your spoonie. Now, you can connect with a lot of people when you face your fears. If you're afraid of being alone, like I was at one point, then that's gonna be another fear that you can use as a friend. You can actually say like, okay, I want to be alone, I have to be more open. Like, there's so many things that you can do, there's so many things that you're gonna face. There's gonna be so many things that you're gonna have to make your friends out of fear. No, not like that. Like, you're gonna have to make a lot of fears your friend. That's what I was trying to say. But that's pretty much what that means for me. Like, how that you can make fear your friend. And I know it sounds hard. Like I said, everything that I talk about in this podcast is gonna be hard. It's not easy. Believe me, it has taken me like 3 years to get to this point. I've been on, and I work on myself every day, so it's not going to be easy. But remember, if you're afraid of something, try to make fear your friend, because it might end up pushing you to a new level that you didn't even know you had, or that you didn't even know you could reach. That's the most important thing about that. Well, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. This is just a quick episode that I wanted to talk about in regards to something that came up with my wife. That's pretty much how I came up with this episode. And thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything that you're doing to make this grow. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and also don't forget to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And another thing is, like, I've been able to put more stories on Instagram and Facebook, so don't forget to follow us there so you can actually see the stories, because literally I'm showing what the life of a caregiver is like when I go to the store and I'm tired, when like, there's so many stories that I've been posting in there. So if you want more content, you can follow us there. And also, like I said, don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and thank you for everything that you do. And if you want to share your story, don't forget to send it to me at the Spoonie and Caregiver Live at gmail.com, or you can share your story on the Facebook community. Another thing is that thanks to you, we're growing. So thank you for all the feedback. Thank you for the support. And in order for us to grow more, we need likes on the podcast. We need comments. And unfortunately, that's so we can beat the algorithm. But other than that, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And I leave you like always. As always, take care of yourself and have a great day.